In this lesson, we'll be learning about special angle pairs. Connor was watching a wind turbine spin. He noticed there are 3 blades on each turbine, spaced equally around a center point of rotation. Connor wondered, what is the measure of the angle formed between any 2 consecutive blades of the wind turbine? Your objectives in this lesson: you'll be able to find unknown angle measures by reasoning about adjacent angles with known measures. Recognize when an angle measures 90, 180, 270, or 360 degrees. Find unknown angle measures by reasoning about complementary or supplementary angles, and recognize and know the relationship between vertical angles. So, time to take a guess. Help Connor guess the measure of the angle formed in degrees between any 2 consecutive blades of a wind turbine. Take a moment and type in your guess. All right, we'll keep you hanging and not tell you what that was. Let's try this. In a traditional Dutch windmill, 4 blades are equally spaced around a center point. Find the measure of the angle formed by any 2 consecutive blades. So what I want you to picture is the center of this windmill, and all the angles around is going to be 360 degrees, right? That's the measure of a circle, and we can divide that 360 by 4 because it forms 4 equal angles, and therefore we have 90-degree angles formed. Now here's another real-life application. On an analog clock, that's the old-fashioned clock, the minute hand is longer than the hour hand. The hands of this wall clock show the time is 9 o'clock p.m. Question A, how many degrees has the hour hand traveled since 12 o'clock p.m.? So the hour hand, the little hand, was once at the 12. How many degrees did it go around to get to the 9 o'clock? Let's start with that question first, see if you can figure it out, and then we'll compare. So I'm picturing 90-degree segments. I'm picturing the hour hand rotating around 3 90-degree rotations, and that would be 270 degrees. I also could have realized it's 360 degrees around the whole rotation, but we can subtract 90 off, so either way we get 270 degrees. Next question, how many degrees does the hour hand travel per hour? So per hour, you've got your 360, and you want to divide that by 12, giving us 30 degrees. Here's one for you to try. Points B, A, and T are collinear. There's a word that you know, meaning they lie on a straight line as shown in the diagram. If the measure of angle CAT is 50 degrees, what is the measure of angle CAB? So take a look at the diagram, start at C, go to AT. That angle right there is acute. It measures 50 degrees. What is the measure of the other angle? Try it, and then let's see if we agree. Well, hopefully you know that there's 180 degrees in a straight line or a straight angle, so we can simply subtract 180 minus 50 to get 130 degrees. That's the measure of angle CAB. The angles that we have been talking about so far can be classified as one of these. Either supplementary angles, they add together to equal 180. Complementary angles add to 90 degrees. Adjacent angles, they are right next to each other and they share a ray and a common vertex. And vertical angles, they're directly across from each other and they're formed by 2 intersecting lines. So this is your silent teacher and you can come back to it, but we have some questions for you to try. And the first question we can look at together, and then we'd like you to try the others. Question number 1, the red second hand shows that in 55 seconds, the time on the clock will be exactly 6 o'clock. At 6 o'clock, what would be the angle formed by the hour hand, which is the small one, and the minute hand, which is the big one? So that will be a straight angle. A straight angle measures 180 degrees. Now you have a few more questions. Pause the video, try the rest of the questions, and then you can come back and compare against my answers. Here we have a right angle. We know that angle E is 90 degrees. We understand that the other two acute angles then, D and F, these are called complementary because they add together to equal 90 degrees. The measure of angle F would be found by subtracting 90 minus 65 or 25 degrees. How did you do on that one? So two important concepts. One is that when we have a right angle, there's always one 90 degree, or a right triangle, there's always one 90 degree angle. And the second important concept is the two acute angles will always be complementary. All right, did you solve question number 3? Were you understanding we were asking you to classify the angles formed by any 3 consecutive blades like this? And so what we understand is that these 2 angles are going to be supplementary. They add together to equal 180 degrees. Here's a sign, Kathy's Coffee Shop, and one of the angles shown is 70 degrees. And we need to find the value of X, Y, and Z, and I'm curious which option you chose. Now for me, I would look directly across from 70 degrees at that angle marked Z. I would know these are vertical angles, and so Z is 70 degrees. There's actually only one option that has 70 degrees for Z, so I believe it's going to be C, but I continue with my reasoning. Next thing I would look at is right next to the 70 degree angle, there's X. These 2 angles form a linear pair. They're supplementary. And the value of X is going to be 180 minus 70, or 110 degrees. Finally, I can look at the angle straight across from X, which is Y. It's 110 degrees because X and Y form vertical angles. They are congruent. So the correct answer then for this problem is option C. Question number 5. Let's see how you did on this. Classify the angles formed by the hour hand, which is the shorter black hand, the minute hand, which is the longer black hand, and the second hand, which is the red hand. Classify those 2 angles that are formed. Hopefully you know they're next to each other. They're adjacent. They share a common ray. So therefore, because they form a 90 degree angle, they are complementary. And so the correct answer would be option A, adjacent and complementary.